It had been 10 years. A whole decade without that. Without something that once filled me to the brim. At first, I thought I could live without it. Life moved on, responsibilities, routines, raising my son, work, endless days. I even trained myself not to think about it. It dulled. Faded. Or maybe I just convinced myself I didn't need it anymore. But that feeling, it never truly disappears. It hides in the shadows. It sleeps somewhere deep inside, in the most vulnerable corners of the soul. And when something touches those strings, it all comes flooding back. It happened on an ordinary day. I came home tired, expecting nothing. My son, now a grown man, stood at the door with a small box in his hands. He was smiling. "Mom, I was thinking," he said, and his voice was unusually soft. "You deserve this." I opened the box and froze. It hit me like a surge of electricity. It seemed simple, something from my past. But it was a symbol. A piece of who I used to be. Before the disappointments, before the loneliness, before the sleepless nights. I didn't understand at first what exactly moved me. Maybe it was the gesture. Or the way he looked at me. As if he knew I needed this more than I dared to admit to myself. I went to my room, held it close, closed my eyes, and the tears came. Not from sadness. From the feeling of being alive again. I remembered hands that once touched me not out of routine, but with hungry tenderness. A voice that told me I was special. I remembered her, the woman I used to be. My heart ached. This return was sweet and dangerous. I knew something had begun. Something that couldn't be undone. And this was only the beginning. Let me pause for a moment. Tell me in the comments where you're listening from. Have you ever experienced something similar in your life? I'd really love to know. And don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss what comes next. Now, I continue. I didn't know something could pull me back so quickly. It seemed like I was simply holding a harmless piece of my past, yet with every moment, every touch, something inside me began to shift. I was no longer the woman who had buried her desires beneath responsibilities and disappointments. I felt my blood heating, like something within had awakened after a long sleep. Just a few days had passed since the evening I opened that gift, and my life was already beginning to tremble, fragile like glass. And then, he appeared. At first, just a random encounter. Something small. Or so I thought. A man I had barely noticed before. He worked in one of the lower departments, sometimes came to our meetings. Always polite, reserved, almost like he belonged to another time. But that day, he looked at me differently. Not like a colleague. Not like just another woman of a certain age. He looked at me as if he saw the woman who had been hidden for years. And that was dangerous. Irresistible. So much so that I felt unsteady. He approached, asked me something mundane. But his voice, low, warm, velvet-like. And for some reason, I laughed. "Sorry," I said. "I just forgot what real interest sounds like." We talked. About nothing, really. But I caught myself leaning into his gaze. Listening to the rhythm of his voice. Wanting more. Every meeting with him felt like a secret game. I felt like a girl again. Not a wife, not a mother, not an employee. Just me. And it was terrifying, because I liked it. I'd come home and look in the mirror. In my eyes, a spark. On my lips, the ghost of a smile. I started wearing that perfume I had abandoned long ago. Choosing dresses just a bit more daring than usual. Something inside me was shifting. And then, one evening, I got a message from him. "You have no idea how long I've wanted to tell you this." In that moment, everything around me vanished. I knew there was no turning back. But I had no idea where this twist of fate would take me. I truly believed I had everything under control. That I could allow myself a little emotion, just a touch more than usual, and still keep everything within boundaries. But emotions don't follow logic. And they never stay in a cage. At first, it felt like a game. Light, almost innocent. I felt desired, alive. He knew exactly what to do, never rushed, never pushed, but each glance was like a touch. Every gesture, a silent promise. I floated between a dream and reality. But then, the lines began to blur. I couldn't tell where my normal life ended and this new, forbidden world began. Work meetings weren't enough anymore. I waited for his messages, clung to every hint, searched his voice for meanings that might not have even been there. He became my first thought in the morning, and the reason I couldn't sleep at night. And then, everything spiraled. I started losing myself. I forgot who I was outside this story. Outside the stolen glances and secret touches. My home felt empty. My husband's silence felt louder. I found myself annoyed at my son's attention, because it pulled me away from my hidden life. A random meeting with a friend felt like a mirror I didn't want to look into. She said, "You look strange. Like you're glowing and falling apart at the same time." I had no answer. Because it was true. And then, the unexpected. He vanished. Just like that. No words. No closure. Messages unread. Silence where his voice used to be. That's when I realized how far I had gone. The emptiness he left behind wasn't just about him. I had lost myself. Everything around me started moving too fast. My husband noticed something. My son started asking questions. I tried to smile through it, to act normal, but I was unraveling. I stood in front of the mirror and didn't recognize the woman staring back. Not a wife. Not a mother. Not a lover. Just, nothing. I thought I had found a way back to myself. But it turns out, I had never been more lost. And now, I don't know where my path leads. Share your thoughts about this story in the comments. Have you ever gone through something similar? Your voice truly matters to me, and I deeply appreciate each and every one of you. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button so you won't miss the next gripping story. Wishing you a wonderful day. If you listened until the end, write in the comments, "Sometimes the past won't let go," that way I'll know you stayed with me all the way.